This is Time Warner Cable's local edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest today is Judy Chu. She's a member of the United States Congress, and I want to speak with you about taxes. We're very focused right now on the election, but there's something looming on the horizon, and that is the expiration of the Bush-era tax cuts. Could you explain the expiration process?
Yes, the Bush-era tax cuts were supposed to expire last year. They were extended, but now the deadline is truly approaching. That's the end of this year. And if you recall, they gave tax cuts to millionaires, and they were supposed to provide prosperity to this country. Of course, the opposite occurred.
Now, as I understand it, the Bush-era tax cuts did provide a tax cut for all. And what has happened so far is the Democrats in the Senate have passed a bill that would extend those tax cuts for 98% of the population.
That's right.
And in the House, they want it extended for 100% of the population. I mean, one could argue that seems a little more fair, but I know that you disagree.
The problem is it's cost this country $1 trillion. It adds $1 trillion to have millionaires have these tax cuts, and it's a shame, especially when they don't need it. In the meanwhile, there is this desperate attempt to cut the deficit. We don't want a deficit, but we shouldn't add to the deficit by continuing this millionaires tax cut.
Now, the CBO, which is nonpartisan, seems to have come out in favor of the Democrats' position, which is we should not extend the tax cuts for the, quote, upper 2%, 1%, whatever it is. Is that holding sway? I mean, it seems as if there's such polarization on this issue. Do you see any hopes of compromise on it?
Well, the CBO indeed has come out with that, and in fact, the idea is keep those tax cuts for those who earn less than $250,000, but for those who earn more, they don't need these tax cuts.
But what we know is we need to have this issue resolved by December 31st.
Yes.
It's not as if we can wait for the next Congress. And if the election turns out, hypothetically, everything's kind of status quo. President Obama's reelected, the Senate stays Democratic, the House stays Republican. What then? I mean, the Republicans in the House are entrenched.
Yes. Well, it will be a lame duck session. I think it will be really intense, and I think there'll be incredible negotiations going on. I hope that Republicans will see that we can't let this country go down the tubes. We have to save this budget.
And we have heard that in addition to the Bush-era tax cut issue, if you combine that with other tax cuts, I believe it was the FICA tax that was held back. I mean, if all of these expire at the same time because no agreement can be made, I mean, the words I'm hearing is we will go off a fiscal cliff. I mean, that's not me. Yes. That's just experts smarter than me, clearly.
Oh, inevitably, unemployment will rise. In fact, they say to 9.1%. And the average American will have $1,600 more in a tax burden.
What about on the defense side? Because we are winding down the wars of Iraq. I mean, I guess that's technically done. Afghanistan's winding down. There's a lot of nervousness about whether we should increase or at least impose the budget cut intended for the defense budget.
Well, there's this thing called sequestration.
Right, yes.
Yes, it's a mysterious word. But basically, it means automatic tax cuts by December 31st if we don't reach an agreement. The problem is it uses a hammer to cut the budget. In reality, we should use a scalpel. There are areas that should be cut, but certain areas deserve more cuts than others, and some areas really deserve to be saved.
Okay, her name is Judy Chu. She's a member of the U.S. Congress. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you for watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.